so much for coming out to the first ever Keynote Technology Night. The students and staff have worked so hard to make this night memorable for all of you, so I know that you'll enjoy it and have a great time. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Monica Brown. And so again, thanks so much to everyone for being a part of tonight's event. We really wouldn't be able to have this without all the support of the teachers over here and all the students. They've worked extremely hard to set up their booths, and they have a lot of great technology to showcase. And of course, the custodial staff are helping out, and all the administrators, and you, the community. Thank you so much for always supporting us. Of course, the Ed Foundation and the PTO. We wouldn't be able to do any of what we do right now without your support. So thank you so much. But before we begin tonight's festivities, I would like to take you down a trip down memory lane. But I was a child of the 80s and 90s. And I really like to think of the 80s and 90s as a great time, more of like kind of a magical time. There was a lot of great things in the 80s and 90s. We had some incredible style. I remember growing up and wanting to be like Zach Morris, style and hair, great guy, and Kelly Kapowski and all those great people. Incredible style back then. And we also had some unforgettable movies. Who could forget, like, there you go, and all that. Great movies, a lot of great quotes from the 80s and 90s. And we had some timeless music. Great music and all that, but of course, on top of all that, we had some state-of-the-art technology. The Amiga computer system. I remember my dad got that. I was amazed. I didn't know what it did. Still not sure what it did, but I was still amazed at it. It was great seeing it. We had cassette tapes. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but how many people actually remember finding the perfect song and take days, if not weeks, to make that mixtape for that perfect song? It was great. A labor of love. And of course, we had the Encyclopedia Britannicas. I was fortunate that my family bought the whole shelf full of encyclopedias. I didn't realize at the time, but I was fortunate. So I had to do my 6th grade Panda book report. I could just go to the PE section, and they had a full paragraph that I could use. It was great. It was amazing. So the encyclopedias, and of course the shoulder-mounted video cameras. Again, I was fortunate that my dad had no shame. He would walk around everywhere with a huge shoulder strap, and we'd be at Epcot waiting online, and we'd break it out. It would take a few minutes, but it was great, so I could look back on those memories. So really some state-of-the-art technology throughout the 80s and 90s. But then something happened.
You've got mail.
I was so loud. But I remember hearing that fondly and oh, I got mail. What is this about? The internet came and changed everything. Now, while AOL didn't start the internet, it helped make the internet go mainstream. Who could forget those 1,000 hours of free AOL that they would give away like candy at Blockbuster? You see those everywhere. But the internet came and really changed everything tremendously. Email. I remember what it was like to send letters to your pen pals and then maybe get a response in a week. And it was so exciting just sending that out. But the first time I sent an email, I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe in a couple of days I'd get a response. But within 2 hours, I got a response. And I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it was a robot or something. It was really interesting to me. But then what really blew my mind, and I know people say this all the time, this blew my mind, but instant messaging. I mean, we grew up in a time where people didn't have call waiting. And my parents would get so upset when I was on the phone because they missed phone calls, or if I called my friend from a different county, the phone bill would go up. It was really intense. So the first time I used instant messenger, I remember I was in my parents' basement. I typed, "Hey, what's up?" Instantly, I got a response. Nothing much. Whoa! Wow! I again thought it was a robot. It took a while for me to comprehend that. But when I realized you could talk to multiple people at the same time, you didn't have to worry about phone lines and all this stuff, really, it started to get me interested in this internet magic and what that was all about. We've got YouTube that came around the mid-2000s, and we're at a point now where people are uploading over an hour of video every second. It's pretty wild to think about. An hour of video every second. In those 3 seconds, 3 hours just went. Can't understand. But every video you ever thought of is online now. And we have cloud storage, which again, not many people understand because it's still a relatively new concept. But to think that you have all your videos and photos and music all somewhere in the cloud, and you just take out your phone and access all that information, it's really incredible. And with the internet, knowledge. Everything changed to knowledge. For the longest time in education, teachers were used to being the gatekeepers of knowledge. If a student had a question, they would ask their teacher. If they didn't know something, what's the capital of New Jersey? How much does my dog weigh? They just asked their teacher. And hopefully they would give a response, or they just have to research it, because that's what we were used to doing. We had the knowledge. But now with the internet, it's changed everything, where the students can access knowledge online. They can get it anywhere. So students from all around the world have access to the same amount of information. So it's changed education tremendously, where now we have to focus a lot more on how we get that response. Are the students really doing the proper research? Right? Do they really understand how they got that answer, or are they really just asking Siri? We have to make sure that students comprehend all this stuff. So the internet changed all that and more. But while the internet came along, technology wasn't standing idle. Technology increased tenfold. Much more tenfold, actually. That's an iPhone, and within that is a picture of the Apollo guidance computer, not drawn to scale. But that Apollo guidance computer was used to send people to space, send astronauts to space, send astronauts to the moon and back. Really impressive technology. They used it for years and years. How much stronger is that iPhone compared to the Apollo guidance computer? 120 million times stronger. I didn't believe that when I read it. I had to cross-reference a ton of different places, and to think that what most of us, teachers, parents, and students, have in their pocket is 120 million times stronger than the computer we use to send people to the moon, mind-boggling. Talk about taking it for granted. I might go home tonight and send some people to the moon. It's really impressive. But what's next with technology? If I had known that we have internet and all this stuff, I probably would have made it Back to the Future movie. But there's just so much going on with technology, and we have to prepare our students. I want to tell a short story about the scariest moment I ever had as an educator. I taught at West Milford High School for 8 years, video production. My first year ever of teaching. It was parent-teacher conference night, wasn't sure what to expect. A parent was coming up to me, and she was a parent, one of the greatest students I had, great kid, we still keep in touch. So she came down and said, "Mr. Padilla, I just want to thank you." This is good, this is going well. She said, "I want to thank you because before my son took your class, he wanted to be a doctor. And now he wants to be in video production." I was like, "I am so sorry." But the thing was, she genuinely meant it. She was like, "Honestly, it's fine because my son was never that interested in medicine. I was kind of pushing him there. But when he took your class, he found that passion. And he's loved it ever since, and he did some incredible work." And she said she really supported anything that he was really passionate about. So I didn't stop apologizing, but it was nice to know that she was genuine in her thanks. But that moment really helped me understand the profound impact that we have every day with our students as educators. To know that we can change their future and change their path. We take that responsibility very seriously here at Upside River Schools. We want to prepare them as best as we can. We want to give them all the opportunities they can to explore what's out there. But how do we do that when we're not sure what's coming in the future? I thought this was an interesting quote. 65% of today's grade schoolers will hold jobs that don't even exist yet. It's crazy to think about that over half the students that leave Upside River Schools will be working in a field doing jobs that aren't even around yet. I think this quote sums it up great. We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that haven't been invented in order to solve problems we don't even know are problems. So it's crazy to think about. We really don't know where the future's going with technology. So how can we prepare these students? Thankfully, there's a lot of these we can prepare, actually. With digital citizenship, the internet isn't going anywhere, social media isn't going anywhere, so it's our responsibility to teach these students how to handle themselves online, how they can be responsible, what to avoid, and from the minute they enter Reynolds School, all the way through Boger and into Cavallini, we're teaching them at every grade level. Whether it's in Reynolds with Ms. Cucci teaching them about the computers and just understanding the internet, or moving into Boger with Ms. Spurgo and teaching them what to avoid and how to respond if you feel uncomfortable online. Very important things. When they move into Cavallini with Bruce Reicher, they learn about 9 different types of digital citizenship, every single student. We take that very seriously because, again, we want to make sure these students understand, yes, the internet is great and there's a lot of information there, but you also have to be careful. And it's constantly changing, and so we do our best to keep up with that and make sure we understand how it's changing. We can also prepare them with collaboration. I've seen some incredible work that these students have done with technology in regards to collaboration. We have Google Apps for education here, and so students can work on the same document wherever they are at the same time. So if a student is sick, maybe not feeling too well, but good enough to do some work, that student can log on his or her iPad or computer and work on the same document that his or her classmates are doing in class at the same time wherever they are. It's really incredible what I've seen with Google Apps and a lot of our other technology. Small group work, no matter what field you go in, you're going to have to work with some people, so collaboration is important. I was in a 2nd grade class, and they were working with these little modules called Little Bits that I'll talk about later. But just seeing them light up and all the collaboration and talking about the process of why does this do that, how can we make it work, trying it out, experimenting, and when it doesn't work, trying something else, and then getting it to work. It was so impressive to see students collaborating with technology. There's also research. Yes, people can get almost any information they want online. There's a lot of information out there, but we want to make sure these students are understanding how to do proper research. Thankfully, as soon as the students get to Cavallini, Ms. Holmes does an incredible job with the students, teaching them how to do critical research, what to search. Yeah, it's okay to use Google, we understand you will, but maybe you want to cross-reference those facts. And when you do some research, you want to use some of our academic databases, which has a ton of information, and she does a great job nailing that home so the students really understand the importance of doing proper research. Because not everything you read online is true. And of course, engagement. We engage our students every day, no matter what it's with. But with technology, I've seen it on so many different levels. I was in Ms. Yamango's 5th grade class. It was, I believe, the first week of school. And she had her students out working on their iPads creating iMovie book reports. It was incredible. I was in there, I got to see it, and they were so excited doing it. I remember clearly being in 6th grade, sitting on the right side, 2nd row, the teacher would say, all right, we're doing book reports. Who wants to talk about their book report? Not one hand went up. Not even from Jen, the smartest girl in the class. And so when I was in Ms. Giovanni's class, and she said, all right, we're done with this, who wants to present? Every single student raised their hand, and they wanted to get up there and present their video book reports. And when the class was up, there was still no time left. The students who didn't get to present yet were upset because they wanted to present. They got the eventually present. But it was just great to see that engagement and the desire for these students to share that information with their others because of this new interaction with the iPads. I saw some students in the crowd like, waving their hands. It's great. We're also doing little bits. Ms. Kurowski was working with Ms. Pasnate's class. I got to go in there in 2nd grade, and these students are putting these little modules together and getting so creative. Right there, these students put together, it was a Halloween theme, so they made these skeleton hands come out of the ground, and that girl is moving these little knobs, and as she moves them, those hands are moving, so it seems like the skeleton's moving their hands from the ground. And just seeing the whole thought process that goes into it, and how excited they are putting the modules together and learning everything, it was so incredible to see. GarageBand. I was in Ms. Jarvis' 2nd grade class last month, and seeing students create music at such a young age was incredible. I don't even know how to do some of the stuff they were doing, but they were actually able to create their own music. They would create the loop, and every single student got a chance. And of course, when it came their turn to make the song, every single hand went up. So much engagement. I was in Ms. Campana's 8th grade class, and they were doing a science lab. And yes, they had paper and they were doing lab, but they also had their iPads. And with that, they were able to do interactive work, virtual cell exploration. That button right there says, cut the chloroplast. And when you do that, you can open it up and zoom in and see what the cell's like inside. So much more interactive than a textbook. And I love what I've seen the students appreciate it. We do so much here, and I can go on and on. That's why we're having this event tonight, so you can all go in and just see some of the amazing things that our teachers are doing with the students. Their engagement and everything. Students these days are just drawn to technology. They're born with it, they understand it, and they appreciate it. And we're using that knowledge and that light of technology in education every day and hope that we can pique their curiosity. We're doing an hour of code next month. We're doing so many different things. And with that, when students start to see these little bits of technology, they get curious about what it does. And when they start using it, we hope that in doing that, we can kindle their passion. And when students are passionate about learning and education, they can do some amazing things. I want to leave with this quote. If children have interest, then education happens. And education is happening every single moment here at Upper Shadow River Schools. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I think you're really going to appreciate it.